Hello, welcome everyone. Today is 26th of May. Today is, and this is the Let's Talk Thought Tech meeting. We have a first issue in the agenda, which is talk about Kebehet metrics. Dominic, do you want to introduce?
Yeah, so essentially we are doing all we are trying to have metrics that would indicate something for one for community and secondly for also for the product owner, and some of those metrics include daily statistics for cache usage in repository. And some of those metrics would also include the SLI and SLO indicators. And what we have here right now is an issue that states all of the, well, general metrics, so to say, and specifically some of the SLI, SLO indicators, or no, some of the, but mainly there is only one SLI SLO thing and not much other. So my question was if we could perhaps maybe brainstorm some of other indicators that we would use. And if you scroll down, you see the manager's SLO, SLI, and basically what I just have had in mind there was the percent usage of the manager, and that was also in Kebeshet metrics, Kebeshet universe page included the percent of usage of that specific manager according to all of the installed Kebeshets in repositories. And I didn't have any idea for other indicators, so it was the question basically.
Can you look at like user data on GitHub for Kebeshet?
What do you mean by that?
So like pull requests, issues, commits.
Yeah, that is a thing we are working with right now. We collect issues and pull requests for each repository or anything that would be valuable for Kebeshet managers, usage statistics. So perhaps also a Thoth YAML file is extracted, and the information, if the user has specified some setup for any manager, is also or can be extracted.
Sorry, I thought GitHub had a way of actually like just getting the user statistics directly, so not having to scrape individual repositories.
Well, but you you are still looking for Kebeshet usage, right? So you have to, for example, if you have Kebeshet version manager, you can look into the issue and what was the time to respond in that issue, and if that issue was closed by Kebeshet or was closed by any other contributor, and that would give you more information on how responsive Kebeshet is or how successful it is.
For individual managers, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's meant like for currently only the advice and version manager are present in the Epic issue, but it is meant to be extended for all of the managers. And yeah, and the percent of usage in the SLI SLO indicator, I don't know right now if it's SL indicator or SL objective. I'm not sure. But the percent of usage of that manager would be included for all of the managers. that Kebeshet has.
So I have a question about where are you getting those metrics from? Like you're scraping the repos, or?
Well, you are extracting the pull requests and issues from GitHub API, and then for each repository, you look if there is some information that would indicate that manager was used. For example, if Kebeshet creates pull request for, I don't know, a version release or something like that.
Wouldn't it be better, or maybe complementary, but couldn't Kebeshet generate those metrics from, like, when I create a pull request, I can increase a counter.
Well, but you are trying to observe what is Kebeshet doing from a third side, right? You are observing what is Kebeshet doing through GitHub API, so through the eyes of a user. That's, I guess, the important differentiation here, so that you want to observe, not to generate metrics by Kebeshet.
Wouldn't those metrics be the same though, if like Kebeshet's doing what it's supposed to do, what the user sees and what Kebeshet does?
Well, so perhaps give me an example. How would Kebeshet make these metrics?
Well, say there's the method of just you go over all the times that Kebeshet responded to a PR. That's one way. Or you could go into Kebeshet itself and, like Pep said, just say, oh, I'm responding to a PR. Let's increase this metrics count.
Yeah, so if you have example when user requests a version release, Kebeshet does not have to respond. And I guess you cannot extract this information any other way than just looking through the GitHub API and looking for issues that have keywords for Kebeshet, for version and release request. So you know that users are requesting specific manager, but the Kebeshet is not responding. So that is I think that is the case when you would not be able to generate metrics through Kebeshet, right?
Okay, so like you're tracking like when Kebeshet isn't responding when it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe this issue should focus on those things that cannot be measured from inside Kebeshet instead, just to avoid duplication. Because I think, excuse me, from Kebeshet, if you generate the PRs from Kebeshet, you can also measure things like the Kebeshet's view. I receive how many issues have been processed. Maybe some of them have not been acted upon, but that's on purpose. And those are things that the user will not see, but we can log from Kebeshet. Like, I'm ignoring this because I found I already raised this before.
Yeah, but the whole idea of using MI in this was, basically to not interact with Kebeshet any other way and to be independent of its implementation.
Yeah.
So I suppose so that when something happens with Kebeshet, you have also an independent observer, I think.
That metric that you mentioned, I don't see it listed here. Maybe like when an issue is created by the user and Kebeshet does not respond.
Yeah. Once again, what was the question?
you mentioned an example that I think it sounds interesting. Like a user creates an issue and like Kebahead update, and Kebahead doesn't react.
Yeah.
Is that listed here? Yeah, here.
It's created by user for manager. Yeah. Yes. Created by that was corrected, right? And also, if you there is also extension that's not mentioned in the PR, but you can also let's say speculate, and if you look at the repository and you see that the repository does use dependent, well, what's that? What manager handles the dependencies? That's update manager, right?
Yeah, update manager.
And if you and you can speculate then if you look into the let's say pip file or pip file log file, you can compare how much to the file has a contributor committed with respect to how much has contributed the bot Kebeshet. And then you can have conclusions that even though the Kebeshet update manager is in the repository, user does not use that and commits to the pip file by himself. There's a lot of examples like this. This is just one of them. The same can be said with version manager. And also, I'm not sure on the SLI SLO subsection in that issue if the percent of usage requirement is like good constructed, because I've mentioned it that the comparison to the overall number of repositories that have Kebeshet installed, if a manager has at least one reference in the repository history counted as usage. I'm not sure if that's a good indicator. Surely it's a good deterministic indicator that you don't care if you see only one reference, you count as usage. But if you have let's say a repository that is like 5 year old and the reference is from 2 years prior, that would not tell you anything at all about the usage of that manager in that repository.
Yeah, why does it make sense to do that over the snapshot usage just from the .yaml file?
What specifically from the YAML file?
The manager section.
Well, because you can have specified the manager in YAML file, but the contributor does not have to use it. Or am I missing something here?
I think it makes sense to look at the managers they have installed, because that I think should reflect the value that they feel like they're getting from the manager. So if they're not getting any value from the manager, then I'd assume they'd uninstall it because it's not doing anything for them. So then you can look at the way that changes over time. So like if we implement a new feature and then someone adds it, and then you can see that trend upwards as people use that manager more and more, even if it might not necessarily for the same reason that like doing the thing that you said where you look at the history, just because it contributed one time doesn't mean that the user is receiving value currently from the manager.
So maybe perhaps count the number of usages in the repo. So whenever the manager was used in whatsoever way, you count it as usage, and maybe you collect all of the usage count throughout the time. That would be an interesting indicator.
maybe another can be the gap, like how frequent are those updates? I don't know if this is relevant or not. Or I mean, I'm thinking as a way to measure how Quebec helps you actively maintain your dependencies rather than keeping them there forever. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure if I got it right.
I'm just making the assumption that, as without Quebec, I have my pip file. It works. Don't touch it, and it's never updated. Like the locking pip file.lock is never updated again. But by having Quebec, I see that I get updates like every month, let's say, or something like that. And therefore, in between updates, I think can be a potentially relevant measure. Right? How often that happens.
So, like updates to requirements, or what did you mean?
Any updates could be advice manager, it can be update manager, or maybe not. I mean, I'm just thinking aloud here, but what do you think? And you can compare it to general, as you said, general updates to the people. How many times has been updated by a person and by the bot, and it's kind of complementary.
Yeah, for example, the manager that does not update the repository, but can be used in the repository is labelbot, right? Because it does not update anything in source code. But yeah, you can have different metrics for different managers, right?
No, I was thinking on the ones that do provide code changes.
Yeah. Yeah, can be.
Okay, I don't know. Does anyone else have more ideas on potential metrics?
Yeah, and so my question was in this case, because I'm not that familiar with the terminology, but for example, in this scenario, what is the difference between indicator and objective?
Objective is what you want to achieve. Indicator is how you're doing, right? So objective is your target. You want to. That would be another discussion. How many? I don't know, depending on the metric, how many times we want Quebec to update, or something like a goal. An indicator is how are we doing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, then the question is what good objectives would be for this case.
We should start like thinking, yeah, what
And
can we measure?
Yeah, and also I don't know if we use that, but there's also agreements, and I'm not sure also with that what would be that in this case.
Service level agreement would be if we commit, let's say that whenever you open an issue like a Quebec update, you will receive a reply from Quebec within X amount of time.
Sure.
That would be a SLA. I think we don't have an SLA. I mean, it would be more about.
I think the SLA is just like a total agreement for what you provide for the service. Then SLOs are individual metrics within an SLA.
Yeah.
So like uptime, the turnaround time or latency, and stuff like that. I don't know if we can consider the number of merged PRs by the bot and SLO because it's dependent on the user's usage of the bot, not on the service itself.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have anything to do with the actual performance of the service. It has to do with adoption. It's still a useful metric, but I don't think it's in that realm technically.
A good SLO would be then response time, I would say.
Yeah. And also like the not responding to issues and stuff is another good one.
And also the completion rate, because it can happen that even though, for example, Kebeshet created a pull request, it does not have to be closed by it, or something can happen and it can be closed by user.
In which case it has to do with the user's usage of the bot, so it wouldn't be.
Yeah. This is an issue that would track the section from that bigger issue. So I think we can state some notes from this here, and then it would be all right, I guess. Or should we write notes into the document instead, and then I edit the issue? That would be better.
Yes, yes, thanks. I was trying to. I didn't take notes, basically. Sorry, I was just reorganizing the document, but I added this reference to the. Actually, let me share this back again. Added the reference to the SLO issue. But yeah, if we can expand here on the, at least take some basic notes on the document and then update the ticket. Are you happy with the discussion so far? Wanted to get some more? Anything?
I'm happy. Maybe if we would have more people, we would create more ideas. But I'm happy with the result.
Okay, maybe we can ask again in the future tech talk. Any other comments on this? If not, I'll.
There's one thing.
Yes, Gage.
So the one thing that Christoph added under there, folding it under O1KR3. Do we think putting the SLOs, SLIs, and SLAs possibly all under sort of like this help site idea, or does that not fit in the scope of that? Should they be put elsewhere?
Initially, it doesn't sound to me like the go-to place. Like as a user, I wouldn't go to the help site to look at SLOs, but like I would turn the question back, like, do we have a better place?
Other than just putting it in a repo and linking to it, I don't think, or a whole nother site that holds our SLOs and SLIs for all our services we provide. Which, I mean, it could also just be something linked off of the main page or something linked off of the help site in the future.
Yeah, probably. Probably better. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I agree. I don't think it's like something like, oh, I need help, or I need to see the SLOs, so I'm gonna go to the help site. It's more of like, I want to see the structure of how this site works, so I'm gonna go to the documentation. But then documentation is very vague, and that you could get how to use it, or so there's like tutorials, there's like actual documentation, and there's sort of like the structure of the service. And then I guess there's documentation in the community. I don't know which one this would go under. I mean, it almost could, like, the structure of the site seems like we could put like our ADRs, our SLO, SLIs, SLAs, SIG, governance, labels, that general idea. I mean, right now I'm putting some of that in the help site, but that's just because I don't know where else, because right now it's just sitting in a repo and not really being linked to too much.
Yeah, I don't know. There are several things that need linking from the website, and I think it's probably worth doing a review of the general website.
Yeah. Because I think the only spot it's linked right now is if you hit like learn more, or the documentation page. On Thoth's landing page, it has a couple hot links. One of them is to the core repository, which is, I believe, one of the only like direct links to where everything would be stored. But then you sort of have to go around to the folders to find what you're looking for anyway. This probably ties into revamping the website into being a more centralized thing.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds like more of a general website revamp thing. But for now, maybe the thing is we don't have it. We don't have a place to link to either yet, right?
For the help site, or for
for the metrics.
For the metrics, no. I mean, for now, if it's okay with everybody, I can just put maybe like Thoth structure or Thoth blueprints, stick that in the help site for now. I mean, otherwise, just link it in the landing page. Whatever's easier. Because I see it changing in the near the long-term future.
Yeah. I think it's easier in the help site, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I already have some structure down for it to go there, and we can easily. Dominic, how do you plan on visualizing these metrics?
That was a question to me.
Yeah. How do you like superset and you put it in?
Well, we do not plan yet to visualize, because we have used superset in past, but I don't want to say abandoned, but we did not focus on visualizing. We focused more on providing data, and the visualization pipeline was the work that, for example, like Hima did and her team. So we really did not focus on visualizing the metrics.
Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, since if this kind of falls under O1KR3, then we have data scientists that have worked with superset in the past, so we could visualize it.
We are using superset right now. Is it?
We haven't really touched it yet, but I assume for a lot of the GitHub metrics, that's what we'll use.
Um,
Really,
yeah.
we're trying to use whatever is good to visualize on a website. Like, for example, Google Analytics, great because they allow you to embed it like instantly, embed a dashboard. I know it's a little bit more difficult on Superset, but it's not impossible.
Because I think that HEMA right now uses something different than Superset, I guess.
What was that
But
again?
I'm not sure.
They have, sorry, I maybe I don't know if it applies here, but I know that HEMA and the team have already have a pipeline that uses MI to collect a few things, and it was used for the OKRs of the previous quarter to visualize KPIs that were defined. It was collecting data, ingesting things through MI, and putting in the information in Trino, and then eventually visualizing it in Superset. So I think they already have like kind of the structure to visualize this.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they use for visualization. I know that I've used Superset for some time, and it was pain to use with Hue, but maybe because there was also an older version, but the what's that? Do we use not open services? What kind of image of Superset do we use and where?
The Superset instance in Operate First.
Operate First, yeah.
Yeah.
So because I know that Operate First wanted to have at least Superset 1, version 1, and that could be different experience than the Superset I was using, because that was just below that.
We could also use Grafana if that's easier. I think that's also a little bit easier to visualize. Doesn't really matter. I think a lot of the data scientists just like using Superset because it's a little bit more feature rich, I think. But I haven't used any of them really, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, the main problem with Superset when I used it was to update the tables. Because we used Hue, but in Hue there was an issue when you updated data on Zeph. The Hue updated it, but the Superset did not recognize a change, so that was like not compatible with visualization. I have problem with saying this word with visualization. Because you want to have a visualization that is refreshed every day, right?
I think they now use Trino, and I believe this issue should be solved by now.
That's great.
Well, it's probably okay. In any case, from the website point of view, I think the important thing is first to have some place where those metrics are, and then from the website initially just link there, right?
Probably the easiest way, yeah.
Okay, so that would be another thing to decide from the metric side where to visualize the metrics, right? Okay. Anything else on the topic?
We don't have to talk about this, but someone added talking about SIG user experience to review it in this meeting.
Yes, that was me. Thing is, when we discussed about the SIGs a while ago, we mentioned about having SIG meetings, and we said SIG user experience is probably worth discussing during the tech talk meeting, so this meeting. And it's so what happened is there have been regular SIG meetings for the other SIGs, like stack guidance, DevSecOps, etc. But the user experience meeting hasn't happened. So that was I added this topic here to see if we should invest some time during the meeting to do that. But I don't know, considering that I'm going to lose my voice at any time now, and that we are already getting close to the. I don't think we would do it today, but
Yeah, if I could just say like one thing quick, I think
sure.
a lot of times we don't have time at the end to really talk about that. But I think if I bring like bi-weekly, I'll bring one or two things that, or I guess like every 3 weeks, every time a sprint ends, I can bring something to the tech talk, say this is what happened and this is what I'm doing, or this is what we're doing. And just maybe like a quick 10 minutes on it, nothing major.
Okay, that would be a great start, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could do a meeting eventually, but I don't want to flood the calendar with a bunch of SIG meetings.
Okay, great. Yeah, to match the sprints, then what do you think one would be the best?
Next week is the start of a sprint, so we could definitely do like this is what's going on this week and this is what happened last week.
Great. Thanks.
Sweet.
Thank you.
I think that's all the time, right?
Yeah, I added another topic. Maybe, yeah, I'll move it to another day, but just a heads up, or just a spoiler here. Thing is, I was running a few Thomas advices recently, and I was thinking, right now, like for a relatively simple stack, I get thousands of lines of output after Thomas advice, and I was thinking, how can we make this more user-friendly, because I doubt people will read it. And maybe, yeah, it was about discussing this.
Shouldn't the search site sort of do that for people?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's what I was suggesting. Actually, one of the thousands of lines is you can find.
Yeah.
It's a link to the search, but it's buried under, again, like.
Maybe we just need to have it more visible at the top instead of being in one justification.
Yeah, I was even wondering if like remove most of the output and just provide the essentials plus the link to the search and for more information.
Yeah, it's definitely plausible just to hide the infos, show the warning and errors.
Even warnings, there are a lot of warnings because
True.
like and then there are also excuse me, potential improvements in the search UI, like, but I think the search UI does a better job of categorizing the output and like pointing to important places. But
yeah, it needs some more fleshing out and adding more content, but it's getting there to show the justifications a bit better.
maybe I would just open an issue on Thomas to suggest this, and we can discuss it there.
The justification includes like warnings for stuff that's not included in the final stack, right?
Yes, and more.
Like errors and all of that stuff for anything during the resolution process where it's like getting rid of packages and stuff.
Yeah, so
if we could somehow make it so that we focus on what is included in this stack, and if there's any warnings or info there, if there's any way we could do that, it might be useful.
So non-package specific, just the stack info.
What do you mean, not package specific?
Well, justifications are split into stack info, which is stack specific, and then justifications. A lot of times those are linked to a package, so things like popular on GitHub. Whereas,
So the stack info is only stuff that's in the final resolution.
believe someone could. I'm not 100% sure, but
If we already have that, then I think that's good.
I could share one of the like an example. I think it's
Because if we have the stack info, that's a good focus, and then users should only really have to look at the other stuff if they're like, oh, why wasn't Click version 3.6 installed? Why was 3.5 installed instead of 3.6? And then they can go look at the rest of the justification stuff.
so this shows everything, right?
Yeah.
All justifications in stack. Okay. I mean, I know if you look through the JSON, you can get a stack info, and then you could go into the actual resolution and see the justifications.
yeah, this is pages and pages of justifications. And yes, if you go to the beginning, there is stack info, but it is still
Pretty big.
pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, because you're still going to get we're not using these packages for these versions.
Yeah. And the information about like the pointer to the search, I think it was here in.
Is it still broken, the link?
The link is still broken, yes, but
I can go in and try to change. I don't know where they.
it's this. And there is a PR already with the fix. It hasn't merged though, but anyway.
Okay.
But I mean, this line here is the one that points to. I mean, once the link is fixed, but it's very difficult to find, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to drop soon, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll open an issue and take it from there. Okay. Anything else?
We're good.
Great. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.